Hello ladies and gentlemen, yes, we are back with yet another Batman 66 episode review, and today we'll be reviewing the episode Hizzonner the Penguin, and by judging of that title, Burgess Meredith is back as the Penguin, so let's get into it. We begin our episode with Penguin essentially preventing a mugging, to the shock of everyone, even to the police officers that witnessed it. We then find out with Commissioner Gordon that he's been doing many great work, such as saving a baby in a runaway carriage and donating $100,000 to the Gotham City Charity Fund. And Gordon, knowing something's probably up, informs Batman. We then get the usual Wayne Manor scene, opening credits, and then we are at Gotham City Police Headquarters, where Batman and Robin are shocked to learn the Penguin is running for mayor. We also get Mayor Lynn Seaton in the police headquarters, where three assistants, Rupert, Gallus, Rupert, and Trednick, arrive with the latest polls, which shows shows massive support for Penguin and not much for Mayor Lynn Seaton. Realizing this, they realize they need someone with a squeaky reputation to go up against him. And only one person fits the role: Batman. After being convinced and seeing no other way, he agrees to run for mayor. We then go to Penguin at his campaign headquarters, where we see how he's running his election. And we find out from the three assistants, who are now in league with Penguin, reveal that Batman has now got a lead in the polls and he's throwing his hat in the ring. Penguin then demands that everyone about how he wants to run his campaign. Pretty girls, big slogans, big posters. Basically a show, but no politics. We then go to Batman at his headquarters, where he is going to run a more campaign that focuses more on the issues. We then get a scene where Anne Harriet comes in to make a donation, which drops the jaw of both Batman and Robin. And throughout the episode, we see the campaign go on, and how each are running their campaign. Now, Penguin's going all out here, and is using every dirty trick in the book to sway people his way. Batman is sticking more to the issues and being less of a showman, but it's also causing not much confidence in his campaign. Something I find interesting, that Batman, who is not trying to be a showman, arguably is the biggest showman in Gotham. I mean, he labels Bat on everything. I like how that's going on, and how Penguin is, like, how he's easily meddling with the, dirty politics. It's all fun and good. And it's really interesting with what they're doing. Batman is then at the Batcave, where Robin tells him that he is scheduled to a sort of meeting with the Grand Order of Occidental Nighthawks. GOON. They wind up at the Grand Order of Occidental Nighthawks, where they meet 5 members. Batman recognizes 3 of them from the Gotham City police files. A bat fight breaks out, with Robin being captured and Batman forced to essentially surrender. The dynamic duo are then quickly bound and tied up and are suspended over the top, suspended in a giant scale, which is over a scattering vat of sulfuric acid, with the other side filled with blocks of ice, suspended over a giant heater. As the ice melts, they will begin to be lowered in. Now, Penguin comes in and is horrified by the event, and essentially, being the politician he is, tries to deny his involvement and says that he's going to run to police headquarters to get help, but he ends up walking. Next thing you know, all the goons leave. And the dynamic duo is getting closer and closer to that acid bath. We leave it at that. First off, interesting episode. First off, I like how Batman's not involvement here actually is making a bit more sense. Him running for mayor against the Penguin because of his clean and scrubby reputation. Chief O'Hara and Police Commissioner Gordon, I think, are the most dumbest as ever. There's one scene where I'm just laughing my head off, and I like how Robin's getting more involvement and is understanding more about, the election and issues, even though he's suggesting Batman should be a little bit more showman-y and less political. I like how we get Mayor Linseed here, which I like how Mayor Linseed is getting some involvement to do in the story. I love that. And Anne Harriet, though, that brief scene shows just how much she's really getting more involved in the election and more in the series, post the Chandel episode. I love it. Alfred, the little screen time, he's just fun as always. And of course, even though Bruce and Dick don't be there as much, the one thing I've always been surprised with is when they discuss Batman should run for mayor, I'm surprised they never said Bruce should run for mayor, because that was said in a previous season 1 episode. I kind of find that a little bit interesting, and surprised how they don't, and I just find that interesting. I'm not sure if that was meant to foreshadow this episode, but for me, it's interesting. But of course, how could we not talk about this without talking about the Penguin? And here we have Burgess Meredith, back as the Penguin. Now, it's been a long time since we saw this Blackbird, but there is a reason why. See, during the first season of the show, Penguin was one of the most popular villains. He appeared in more episodes along with Riddler and the Joker, and of course he was arguably the main villain in the movie. Now, for the first few episodes, pretty much nearly the first half of season 2, he and many of these and the other big 3 were kind of, well, vacant. But there's a reason. Because they were so popular, but there was also a problem that the people felt they could be too overexposed. Which is a good thing. Don't get me wrong, I love Penguin and Joker and Riddler always coming back for another round, but I can't acknowledge that even they might be, too exposed that I would be loathing their return. So I understand that. And for me, I felt that after all these villains of being created either specifically for the show or villains being adapted from the comics, I felt it was a good idea to bring back some of our favorites. And of course, Penguin I felt was long overdue. Burgess Meredith here really nails not just the performance here, but he's given a really good script to work with. Something that I think for any villain to be successful needs. They need a good script to work with and a good actor of high caliber. Burgess Meredith is this show's Penguin, and I love seeing him back, and it's really fun every time. Interesting, I also like are these 3 characters. Rupus, Grandel, and Trednick. Essentially, 3 people who are constantly telling about the polls on the election. I like how they just speak. They can be, and I like the business suits with the briefcases. They are essentially, like, for me, these 3 are also some of the best highlights of this 2-part, and I enjoyed every minute of it. Hizzonner the Penguin for me is something that for me works well with the Penguin story. Penguin running for mayor is one of the most beloved plots Penguin's ever done, not just in the show, but it's also influenced other stories with the Penguin past the show. Batman Returns, Penguin ran for mayor. In Gotham, Penguin both did run for mayor and became mayor. So this was really an influential, and Penguin mixing with politics is really great. I also love the commentary Batman does on politics and basically running an election. It's sort of poking a jab at the American electoral system, and something, in my opinion, that could really be interpreted and really better understood in today's climate than I think it did in its own time. So that's why I really love this episode. And there we have it, Hizzonner the Penguin, arguably one of the most iconic Penguin episodes of this show. And join us in part 2 when we see Dishonor the Penguin, which is the part 2 to this, for me so far, really great and overall really engaging Penguin episode. So tune in that time for the same Steven hour, same Steven channel. So long for now.